Alright guys, well this is a tutorial on how to complete an RPA to submit offers for clients or yourselves. First thing you want to do is go on car.org, create an account if you haven't already. You go right here to sign in. Once you've done that, you will go into the zip forms here. All the information for the car.org should be given to you by the association you join, be it Citrus or Citrus Valley. Those are the two that I'm associated with. If there are any others in the future that we decide to associate, we can. So once you go into there, it's going to actually populate this right here. For the sake of not waiting for the download, I already had it open in the background. So next thing you want to do is, again, car.org, and it'll take you directly to zip forms. This is your dashboard. It'll have any transactions that you are currently working on. What you want to do for new transactions, obviously choose new. If it's a listing, it'll give you the option here. If it's a lease, if you just need to sign a document real quick, you can do all that here. Since we're going to be talking about purchase offers, we'll go into new purchase offers. Here you can either enter the client's name or the property address. I like to enter the property address just to keep a better task. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You can also choose what type of property it is, residential, multi-unit, if it's active, pending, whatever the situation is. Sometimes you're just prospecting, right? A really cool feature that has, if the property that you're trying to submit an offer to is on the MLS, you would choose on this MLS Connect here, enter the MLS number, which I copied earlier. You can or can't include a photo of the property. I choose to. Again, it just makes it a little bit more easy to identify. Next thing is you submit the used listing, and it's pretty much going to create a whole profile for that property. So you hit save. Okay, so again, all this stuff was pre-filled out for you guys, which is, again, time saving, especially if you're with the client on the go and you need to pull out your laptop, your iPad. You can technically even do this from your phone. It's a little trickier because one screen size is two, just maneuvering from the site. So I would say maybe an iPad would probably be an okay, but aside from that, tablet or laptop, Mac, computer, laptop will work. So next you go to add document, and again, the document we're going to be working with today is the residential purchase agreement, already here. So it'll load the document up to the file. You click on it right here, it'll load the form. Again, a lot of the stuff will be pre-filled out for you. Some of the stuff you will have to update because maybe you haven't entered that information on this specific transaction. So scroll all the way to the top. This is just the disclosure regarding real estate. Who are you representing? You're obviously representing your buyer, so you would select the buyer, enter the buyer's name. Again, if you were to have added the customer's your buyer's name in the first sheet, it would have populated for you. But again, you update it once here, and then it will automatically do it for you on all the other tabs. So there you go. Right here is for the signature and for the date. So either you can do it wet ink, where they sign by pen, DocuSign, or the free service here, which is e-sign. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Real estate broker firm. So this is your firm here. So we will enter Monarch. And our license number here. This bottom portion is for yourself. So you would enter your DRE license number, and again, you would put the date you sign. Okay, scrolling on down, That's not important. You can read through it. I won't be covering exactly what the entire RPA is, but just know that I will actually be attending the class for some changes that are going on the RPA this Thursday at 9:30 a.m. at the Citrus Valley Association of Realtors, and it is only $15 for anyone that wants to join. You leave this portion blank here because, again, you don't know who the sellers are. You obviously know who the agent listing the property is, but again, this is not for us to fill out because, again, we don't know who the sellers are. If you have two buyers, you can obviously fill in the second one. If you have more than two buyers, which is possible, you just have to add another form. We'll cover that. Again, Monarch Real Estate. This is the offense license number, not your license number. Your license number actually goes down here. And then again, both these dates should match. This page is actually included on the RPA just to advise your buyers of wire fraud. Obviously, that's something that's been going on more often than not. They just added this on 2017. This wasn't added prior to. But again, most escrow companies now ask you to call in to get their account number and their routing number. Before they would just send you a PDF with all that information. But again, for security reasons, it has that extra security feature. Buyer information, have them sign. Again, this really has nothing to do with the deal, more of protecting themselves, which is why we have all these forms. This date prepared on, I would say that they advise you to put the day you worked on this offer. But let's say, you're working with the client and they say, hey, you showed them a house on the 14th and they say, yeah, we want to submit an offer, but you're not going to meet with them again until Sunday to have them sign. I would say just put a fresher date. I would switch it to the 16th if that's the day they're going to sign. But again, advisable is the day prepared on. But again, I like to keep it current so they know ideally that, this was just done now. Information of the property will be filled out. Buyer's information will be right here at the top. This dollar amount is, how much are you willing to, this is pretty much the offer you're giving them on the property. So it was listed for $575. So we'll just say $580,000, right? It's a competitive market out there. It automatically pre-fills this out for you. There's two options to choose on close of escrow date. You can either do a specific date or days after acceptance. I would suggest lean with this one for the purpose of, if you submit an offer, most of the time it's going to take at least 48 hours for them to get back to you, right? So if you say you're going to close on, what's today, February 17th, if you say I want to close on March 15th, technically you already lost 2 days based off this offer submitted. So I would say, common is 30 days. Again, the less days you submit the less days you ask for on a close of escrow, the more favorable your offer will be perceived. But again, standard is, I would say, 30 days. But if you're really, your buyers are already pre-approved, they aren't waiting to sell their house, whatever the situation is, if you feel that you can close in less than 30 days, then by all means. So if you're, again, you have a really good loan officer you work with and you know how they work, 25 days. If you have an all cash buyer, then, 10 days, whatever it is. Again, we'll just keep it as standard 30 days. Right here, it's going to put the listing agent's information. So they're representing the seller, your information right here, representing the buyer. You would pre-fill your information in here. This is where your name goes, your license number. Again, this is the office license number, not your license number. Okay. Obviously, it is possible to represent both the buyer and the seller, and we call that dual agency, but rare, but possible. Initial deposit. So this is the EMD, right? Right here is where you put how much the customer is willing to put on hold or is able to put on hold to get the escrow open. So, on a $580,000 property, I would say $10,000 is cool. But you also have to remember there's another thing. So let's say, again, you're going to choose 30 days, you want to go show the house and the property was being seen by someone before you and then someone's waiting for you to see the house afterwards. what you can do to kind of show, a stronger offer again is you can up this. Again, this is just a hold. This is just letting the sellers know, like, hey, we have this amount of money to be able to put in escrow. It's not something that we need, and it just makes it seem a little bit more favorable. You won't lose this if you're cautious and making sure that you abide by getting your home inspection, getting your appraisal all within time. Technically, you won't lose any of this. Obviously, it is possible to lose, but there's quite a few steps and notices for you to kind of run that risk. So again, most of the time these days, the EMD, the initial deposit, does get wired. So you would just kind of put right here, wire transfer. In the olden days, I guess they would submit that check to the broker's trust fund. Most of the time they won't. If your buyers are old school, possible, but again, wire transfer is the go-to. Also able to give you a check that you take to escrow, but again, safest way, not touching money, just do wire transfer. Okay, so here is where you would choose the type of financing. So let's say the property is able to go FHA, or it is, your buyers are going FHA. You would choose FHA. You would do 3.5% down minus this $10,000, whatever it is. So why this is taking a little while is because it's loading the FHA file. So again, sometimes on some of these little boxes, the system already knows to load that FHA file in, so you don't forget, and obviously it gives you a complete offer. So just taking a little bit right here. One thing to look at, a way to protect your buyers too, if let's say they're working with the loan officer and the loan officer said, hey, I'm quoting them a 3.9 interest rate. You can technically put here 4.0, so therefore that can kind of save your buyers. So let's say your loan officer tries to switch it up on your clients and say, hey, you know what, we're no longer able to get them that 3.9 I told you. So if you put 4.0, and if it's anything higher than that, therefore your buyers can technically back out without losing any other EMD if the interest rate goes any higher than 4.0. You can also always just leave it blank, but again, I would say for the trust of your clients, just put a number in there, even if it's 4.1. Give that little leeway to the loan officer, because again, rates do change, and if you haven't locked it in, it is possible that it could change. So again, just leave that there. So again, for the sake of math, we're just gonna make this a first loan amount of $500,000. Additional financing terms. Right here is what you would input if your buyers are looking for any type of closing costs. You would type in something like credit of whatever the amount you can, based off whatever you feel you and your clients agree on. Credit of $8,000 towards closing cost. And again, if you don't choose any closing cost because you don't want to scare your sellers, like, hey, these guys are already asking for money, what you can always do is hold off on any type of credit or request, and once you get the home inspection, that's where you kind of like start pinpointing some items that need to get fixed. And most of the times you don't want to ask for repairs because those have to be completed prior to closing escrow, and maybe your sellers don't have the liquid cash to get those fixed. So you can always ask for a credit, and you would just document those as credit towards closing costs, but again, it will give that amount back to your buyers. So again, we'll just go with the standard credit of $8,000 for closing, which again, it deducts that from the amount. Verification of down payment. This is again, I would highly recommend that you kind of read through the RPA maybe once, twice, just to kind of get familiar with every section, right? Because a lot of times, when you submit an offer, they'll reply like, oh, switch, we'll accept the offer if you remove section 5 or let's say section 3 letter K. And you're gonna be like, letter K, like what does that mean? So you would go into the RPA, But again, highly recommend that you guys read through this a few times. Reach out to me with any questions. Again, this is just filling out the RPA, so we won't go over every line. Again, I will be attending a training this week to kind of get any updates, and depending on how detailed that is, I would be more than happy to kind of give a rundown of each of these. So right now, again, we're just filling out the RPA. Verification of down payment and closing costs. So kind of this is in the part one. Buyer, or you just pretty much have to put what is called a verification attachment, meaning a printout of their bank statement. You can obviously blank out the account number, or if they're going to use like funds from the 401k, you would attach that to the offer. Same thing with contingencies. To make the offer a little bit more enticing, you can reduce all of this to make it seem like, hey, we're going to move fast, we're going to close fast, and we're going to remove contingencies. Standard is 17 days for an appraisal, but again, to make this offer a little bit more enticing over, again, if you feel that there's other offers on the table, go with 12 days. Just talk to your loan officer, see if that's possible prior to making that change. So loan application, leave it at 3. That's pretty standard. Loan contingency removal, 21 days. Again, based on whatever your loan officer tells you, you can probably make that 15. But again, it's all based on what you feel or what you know. Okay. This right here. So this agreement and buyer's ability to obtain financing are contingent upon the sale of the property. So this is for buyers that are currently selling their property or have their house on the market. Again, sometimes the sellers are like, well, is their house even in escrow? Do we have to wait longer than what you're saying, 30 days, because their house is still not in escrow? Again, if their house is not in escrow, it may seem unfavorable submitting this offer, because one, you haven't sold that property, or they haven't sold that property if they're not working directly with you as the buyer. But again, it makes the sellers feel like, oh, well, this guy's saying 30 days to close is probably not going to happen, because the same process that you're trying to get with these sellers, the other buyers are going to try to get with your buyers, type of thing. Okay, so hopefully you do have the house in escrow, and if you do, you would kind of choose that there, and it will load a file, and it would ask for the escrow number, the escrow information from the house that they have on the market that they're selling, and also when the expected close date is. So we won't choose that one, but just know that that's what that means right there. Every buyer is advised and should get a home inspection. That's kind of right there. That's pretty standard. You can choose all these here too. If the house is on a septic, you can kind of get a septic inspection. If it's a short sale, we don't see too many of those these days, but there was a time where they were all a short sale. If you're adding any additional addendums, you would kind of choose any of these. Statewide buyer and seller advisory, I would highly suggest that you guys choose this one here. And again, any additional terms that makes this transaction different, you would input there. So these right here, I'll kind of run through them pretty quickly, but I would say read through them, ask any questions. I will be providing you guys a RPA that I filled out for a property, which this property we did get the offer accepted. So I just had it on my desktop. I must have closed it out. Okay, let me see if I can find it through. Okay, so again, I'm going to be providing you guys with this one as an example. I just changed the names, but again, this was a property in San Bernardino that we submitted for $289,000. I think it was listed for $295,000, but it was on the market for a while. So this right here, again, initial deposit, they bought this house with $2,500. It was an FHA. So overall, this is how much they were financing. And then again, I'll give you guys a chance to kind of like run through that. But these right here are all pretty standard. So this, most of the time, it's going to be the sellers that's paying for this. And again, you want to choose, the seller to pay for any termite repairs. You you as the as the buyer's agent, you will, I guess, advise your buyer of like, hey, you want to get a termite inspection, and I have this company. If you don't have any companies, obviously reach out to me. I have a really great relationship with a termite company that actually lives near me, but is willing to travel wherever they need be. And very honest people. I think you guys will like them too. As you grow your business, you will grow your network of loan officers, of escrow companies, whatever the situation is. Obviously just keep those filed, because again, different areas call for different vendors or partners, whatever it is. So yeah, just build your network on additional resources. So escrow and title right here. So everyone chooses their half each, right? So you can always ask for them to pay for escrow fees, but again, you're trying to make your offer seem like one they want to accept. So you don't want to put too much cost on the seller. So you would go 50-50. This is pretty standard. So sellers shall pay for owner's title insurance, and then let them choose the company they want. Sellers shall pay for county transfer fees. Sellers shall pay for city transfer tax. So again, this is all pretty standard. You can choose the buyer. So for example, for my personal property, I wanted the property, I submitted an offer well under asking. And I told them to kind of, again, make my offer a little bit more appetizing, because it was going to be about $2,000. I was willing to pay that as a part of the financing, but I wanted the house at a lower purchase price, because I wanted my property taxes to be a little lower, and my I was also going to ask for a 45-day escrow, because again, I wanted to put as much money into the bank as possible prior to moving in. Anyhow, this is pretty standard. If as you get a little bit more used to either seeing purchase contracts come in, or you feel that the buyer says, I really, really want this house, whatever it takes, then you want to put a little bit more cost on the buyer. But most of the time, this is all pretty standard. The listing agent will probably agree, and this isn't asking for too much. This is pretty standard too. Sellers should pay for the cost of a home warranty. This is, a home warranty just covers like little things that happen after the close of escrow. For your new buyers, they have 12 months. And it covers like general stuff. So for example, in this property, a real life scenario is the boiler went out. So based off the home warranty, the buyers called their home warranty. They got a quote on the work that needed to be done. It was a little bit more than just the boiler. The water heater, which we call boiler as well. It ended up being out of their pocket about $400, but a water heater is roughly $600 plus installation, plus a few other things that needed to get done. So out of the pocket of the buyers, they paid $400, which would have been close to $1,000. It did have a new air conditioner, but we still wanted it covered. If it has a pool or a spa, it may not be $350. It's probably going to be $450 to $500. And then you can also choose like the roof. So if the roof is kind of iffy, or the your buyers are like adamant about having the roof as part of the home warranty, you can, but you're putting in a premium, so it's probably closer to $500 to $600. Again, as you build your network, you will have an idea of which ones you like. There's not just Old Republic, there's American Home Warranty, there's quite a few, but this is the standard one I use. Again, if your buyer's kind of like, I don't want them to pay my home warranty, I'll choose. You can always have them be the ones that pay for it, and it obviously makes the sellers happier, because they won't have to come out of pocket a little more. So any items that are going to be included in the sale, so let's say your buyers love the stove or the refrigerator, washer and dryer, you can choose to keep them. Most of the time, it's standard. Maybe your buyers don't want him, but again, personal reference, when I moved into my house, I didn't want to take my old refrigerator. This house had a new refrigerator that matched the oven, that matched the dishwasher, so I wanted it. So I asked for it. It was kind of a little going back and forth, but we ended up keeping it. So you can choose additional items here, chandeliers, whatever. Maybe a deck in the back. Anything in the back that maybe is movable. You just want to kind of specify here. So leased or lien items, if the house has like a solar panels, whatever it is there, you want to make sure that they disclose that to you. These are items excluded from the sale, so you can ask for them to take certain things that you don't want to be left behind. Okay. So standard is after close of escrow for possession is 3 days after close of escrow. Sometimes if the house is vacant, obviously, you can do 1 day or that same day close of escrow. Obviously, work that out with the listing agent type of thing. This is right here, kind of want to pinpoint out the tenant occupied property. Property shall be vacant at least 5 days prior to close of escrow. So you guys can kind of do your final walkthrough 5 days prior, make sure that all their stuff is gone, or, a good amount of it is done. Again, these are all standard, the lead-based paint, disclosures, cancellation rights. Want to read through those, and again, read through those documents too, because those are all roughly important. And I will be sending you guys out the RPA PDF, which is this one, but at the same time, I will be sending you what a email to the listing agent looks like when you submit an offer. So again, I'll be putting that in the email right here. Again, run through these. Make your buyers feel comfortable. Kind of tell them what, maybe not go through A, B, C, D, E, but tell them what title investing means. How do they want to go on the title? If you don't know, obviously feel free to reach out to me and we can kind of discuss. Again, we aren't lawyers, so we're not able to give them exactly how they want to go on title, but we can obviously suggest or help them out. So this right here, kind of going back into the removal contingencies, right? So we all know what contingencies are. So seller has 7 days after acceptance to deliver the buyer our report. So that means that they have within 7 days, they have to give you guys the disclosures, right? What they know about the property. Right here, the buyer has 17 days after acceptance unless otherwise agreed to complete all buyer's investigations. So these are your home inspections. So the least amount of days that you have here obviously makes the sellers feel like you're going to get stuff done quick. So you're going to be able to get into escrow, decide whether this is the house for your buyers or not. So I always kind of try to reduce this here. If you have open schedule with your buyers, you can put within 10 days, 7 days. So what you want to do is get your home inspection. You want to get either like a general termite company to go out and check on the termite, as well as like if you're, let's say once you do your general home inspection, you notice that there's something up with the electrical, with the plumbing, you can get an additional someone that's specialized in just plumbing or electrical to go, or roofing, to go check out the property. So again, I will reduce this as soon as escrow opens. I would say schedule your general home inspection, because you want to get the ball moving on completing your inspections for your buyers, because it's good for your buyers to know that what's up with the house, as well as moving forward, right? So the sooner you get in, at the same time, if there's something bad with the house, the sooner you can get out, type of thing. Moving on to this removal of contingencies with offer. Buyer removes the contingency specified in the attached contingency removal. Again, the shorter time you have on making it feel like you're gonna move fast, the more favorable your offer may seem. Again, close of escrow before buyer or seller may cancel this agreement for failure of the property to close escrow pursuant to agreement. Buyer or seller must first deliver to the party a demand to close escrow. The DCE shall be signed by applicable buyer. So pretty much what that means is that you are able to cancel escrow, and most of the time it's because of this right here. And when you submit we're canceling cancellation of escrow, you would put because of section 14B. So it's kind of after you got your home inspection, there was something that your buyers didn't like. But again, everything can be negotiated. You want to at least attempt to negotiate whatever repairs, whatever it is, prior to canceling. So again, repairs shall be completed prior to the final verification of the condition. So, again, if you ask for repairs to be done, small repairs, you have to kind of go in and verify that the repairs were completed prior to the close of escrow. I'd go with credits, but again, if you're not familiar with what a new roof is going to cost, what repairs on the wall is going to cost, then maybe get those repairs done. But again, I've dealt with a little bit of construction for my personal properties, as well as asking for them on buyers request. We can kind of walk that through if you're unfamiliar, and making your buyer seem a little bit more at ease. Compensation on the broker, scope of duty. Again, I think we're all familiar with that. Run through it. Any questions, let me know. So this right here, liquidated damages. I would highly recommend that you have your buyer sign. They don't have to, but at the end of the day, no one wants to go to court. So this what this means is that both the buyers and sellers will do whatever it takes to kind of settle any disputes outside of court. So it kind of moves on to the mediation. Similar to, again, I would have your buyers sign, but again, you have to get familiar with what is all in here. But highly recommend that. It just feels better to the sellers that you won't take them to court if any issues. But again, I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had the reason of having to go to court for any reason, good or bad. So just kind of let's keep that streak going as a company, right? These are definitions. You can kind of run your buyers through, but I think we all are familiar with it. You can also always go with the expiration offer. So you submit your offer, right? And you can tell them, well, I want an answer by tomorrow at 5 p.m. on this date, type of thing. Just maybe your buyer has 2 offers out. Maybe your buyer is like, well, if I'm giving them this great offer, I want to know like ASAP rather than wait for them to possibly get a better offer. Whatever the situation is, you can always put that here. Otherwise, it will be standard, if they will reply to you saying, hey, your offer, we decided to go with another offer, or, whatever it is. At the end of the day, every offer that you submit should receive a notice, or you should receive a notice letting you know that they are not going with the offer. Okay, it's not just a matter of you submit it and it just goes into thin air. No, the listing agent should reply with a document letting you know that your offer was not accepted. And if that doesn't happen, if you're having a hard time getting a hold of the listing agent, reach out to me, and I can always reach out to the listing agent's broker, and we can kind of take it from there. Obviously, it just makes it seem like they're not going to accept the offer because you're going out of their comfort zone, because we're going directly through the broker. But at the same time, as the broker, you're trying to have your agents do things the right way. So we want to make sure that that is a possibility, that we can connect with the broker directly. Okay, this is where you would have your the seller will sign, and they can kind of they can accept the offer with a counter offer, right? So you'll get a counter offer. That's always at least good news, that they saw your offer, they review your offer, maybe some things that they didn't like. Maybe your close of escrow was too short for them, maybe it was too long. You never know. So again, just getting any type of reply or a counter offer should be exciting, because again, you are in the negotiation phase. Run that through me, we can kind of take it from there. Okay, so again, all this information is pre-filled out. This right here is, again, the company name. Again, this is the prior one. The DRE license number is the company's. I'll send that out with the email. This is your information here. This is what you were signed. And again, unless you have a co-listing agent, you can leave that blank, and then you just put the date here. This you can kind of again, this is what you should be waiting for if your offer is not accepted, a rejection of the offer. Try not to miss this initials here. I think in the beginning, this is one that I had trouble with, this page 10 and having the buyer sign right there. This last document is the buyer's inspection advisory, just letting you know that you as their realtor are having them complete a home inspection. Okay, and then they will sign right here. Let's go back to the live one, which is, again, all that stuff is stuff we talked about. Again, you can even have the seller pay for whatever, or the buyer will pay for whatever. Let's say, there's a big tree that your buyer doesn't like. You can have the seller or the buyer pay for that, and you want to specify that there, whatever the situation is. Let's see. So we talked about that one. Let me see if just the so this is a new one right here, California Consumer Privacy Act. You want to be familiar with it and have your buyer sign that one. Again, in the last this one just came out in what days? Yeah, the last in December of 2019. The dates are all right there when they're updated or when they were created. And this was created for as of January 1st. So cool, that one's new. Really quick, when you create a new transaction, what you want to make sure is that, one, you're creating new transactions for every property, only because, look, if you see right here, what I tried doing a few times was just modifying the address and modifying the MLS Connect, but it will leave the old address here. So again, what you want to do is, because this is based off the property you put in, the name you put on your file, it'll have it right here. So again, if you put the client's name, it'll be right here. If you put the address, it'll be right here. And sometimes, again, I made the mistake of leaving this address here, and I submitted an offer with the other address. Luckily for me, the listing agent didn't catch that, but just know that, that happens there. So just keep an eye out. Again, okay, so let's say you already filled all this out, right? This is going to a buyer who is familiar with signing documents online, or is comfortable with that. You set up that expectation. So what you do here is you go to eSign, which makes your life a whole lot easier. I have a DocuSign account. If you don't have one, you can choose the free ZipLogics. It's a little bit different, but DocuSign is really good. It makes you can sign directly from your phone, directly from your iPad, any type of this document. So right here, I'm going to choose my DocuSign. I'm going to go next. You would select the party, so buyer one. You would input their email. Okay, so it's loading some stuff. So okay, so I'm just filling that out. You would put in, if there's a buyer two, you would put yourself in there too. So you will get notices when everyone has signed. So your first buyer signs, you'll get an email saying, hey, buyer one has signed. After that, you kind of choose the order. So you can choose this person as number two. As soon as they sign, you'll get an email letting you know, hey, this person signed. And then you will, obviously, again, you have to sign as well. So you can be the last one. And once that happens, you will get a PDF confirming that, everyone has signed. So now you have your RPA. And let me log into my email real quick. So again, and let me just pull one up again, I'll forward this email to you guys too, but just kind of wanted to show you guys what a email with a offer looks like and what's included in it. So we'll go to sent. Where's my sent folder? Okay. So let's just go with this one right here. So this offer right here. So I just, to get the listing agent's attention, I'll put a little asterisk, offer the property address. You want to be formal, and, just read it off, I write, "Good afternoon, Lori. Attached, you will find the complete offer for your listed property." Sometimes the listing agents will tell you what they want as part of the offer. We'll kind of jump on that in a second. I write the property address, so if they have multiple listings, they know what property I'm talking about. You also want to do your best to kind of either, what you want to do best is call. But if you don't feel comfortable with talking to a listing agent, what you can always do is just send them an email or a text. Just kind of build some rapport with them so they know who you are. Not this offer that's just coming out of the blue. So I reached out to them prior to. So as I mentioned during our message conversation, the property is for me and my family. Our escrow, letting you know when our escrow was closing. We had all contingencies signed off, and ideally, I was willing to give a 3% deposit on the property because actually that's what they were asking. So again, you guys can read through that. The purchase price kind of again, I put right here $812. I reduced my commission because again, this was for my personal property. A requested closing cost of $0 because again, we wanted this property. Ideally, it's the property we got, but we were pretty set on this house. So escrow to close 30 days or sooner. We actually ended up closing about close to 40 days because we switched lenders because my loan officer is a broker. So he kind of deals with multiple banks, and last minute we got a better interest rate. So again, we bought some time. We kept it really professional when we told them that we were going to be not closing on time. Obviously the sellers weren't happy, but again, we were already at the finish line. It was not something that they were willing to kind of back out with at that point. So yeah, ideally this is what a email going out to a listing agent looks like. Let me see if I have another one. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so this listing agent's name was Winter. Good morning, Winter. Attached. Oh, I'm a typo. We ended up not going with this property because we ended up getting a different offer accepted on a different property. So again, good morning, Winter. Attached, you will find a complete offer for your listed property on Malaga Street in Fontana. We had the opportunity to visit the property yesterday, and my clients are excited to make the property their first home. I will do my best to make this a quick and easy transaction to close in a timely manner. We hope your sellers will consider my qualified buyers. And again, we submitted the RPA. This is the FHA mandatory clause. This is the statement of their bank of the money they have, and also the pre-approval letter. So again, these are the documents that you want to attach with your offers. So they're all here too. Obviously, I use Google Docs because otherwise the file becomes too big to be able to send out in one PDF. So again, multiple files is not ideal, but at the end of the day, all the documents are there, and then not only that, you have them too. So if you're, now I think I'm, again, I just recently started with Outlook. So I believe they have a shared drive as well. But otherwise, Google Drive is free. And if you don't know how to use it, I'd be more than happy to kind of walk you through that. All right. Well, again, ideally this, last thing. Yeah. I always send in the PDF of the property I'm sending in the offer for, because there are times where, people try to switch it on you. They'll try to switch the commission. They'll try to switch the listing price, whatever that is. So I would suggest either you download it for sure, or send it out with the offer, so they kind of don't try to switch this listing commission back to you. Again, as I mentioned earlier when I was walking you through submitting the offer, if you see these prior remarks, these are things that the buyer won't see, but it'll tell you what the listing agent wants to see as a part of a complete package. So the RPA, so that's the purchase agreement, pre-approval letter, proof of funds, so that's pretty standard. All data per seller's best knowledge. So again, they want all these to be, not 60 days old, within 30 days. Anything after 30 days, I would say, is considered old. And then they'll also write some notes here. Buyer to verify all MLS data and features of the subject property. So really says condo, but this is a PUD with no attached. So again, if you look at the property, it looks like a townhome. So for some reason, on the realist tax, it's saying that it's a condo, but they're saying it's not a condo. Again, that's something that you as a realtor can verify with the city, can verify with the builder. If you don't know what steps to take, again, obviously reach out to me. But yeah, that's it. That's how you submit an offer or fill out the RPA. A quick 101. Again, familiarize yourself with the RPA. Ask any questions, and we'll kind of take it from there. Thank you.